understanding your needs, you who is our customer, and we are here to provide innovative solutions that meet your unique needs. So I'd like you to know that we're going to be recording this session today. We usually record this session so that we can be able to post them on our YouTube channel. So once you join this training, you can go back to YouTube and revisit what you've learned today. Our YouTube channel is Octagon Africa, so be sure to like and subscribe our pages. So without further ado, I know I can decide to talk more about who we are, and I know Davis is gonna add more information on that. Our speaker of the day today is Davis Ongiro. He is our General Manager for Business, Marketing and Product Development. He is an expert in the field of SMEs and all the retirement solutions that are open to you. And today we are very glad to have our topic in retirement and pension planning for small, medium enterprises. So I know I want to let you know that we can get our hands together and introduce him. So Davis, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for the apt introduction. Please confirm that you can be able to see my screen and you can
Davis,
hear me.
I can hear you, I can see your screen, and I can see you.
Okay. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It's a wonderful evening that we want to share and learn in one way or the other. So allow me to welcome you in a very special way to tonight's webinar. This is a series of the pension clinics that we do for all our clients especially in Kenya and the East African region. And today we are targeting the SME, people from the SME sector. But that does not exclude anyone else who comes from any other sector. We just want to see how do we help also our brothers and sisters from SME sector, from profit to non-profit, from government to non-government institutions, on how to talk about financial inclusion and the headache in the room that is called savings. Ladies and gentlemen, I think all of us, especially those who are from Kenya, you understand that the president or the current regime has been pushing the agenda on savings, and it's a very exciting discussion that all of us must be able to have at any particular time. And the president has been very categorical that our savings rate in this country is amongst the lowest in the region. And probably it's a culture issue, probably it's an enabling issue, probably it's a legislative issue, probably it is anything that can cause this to us to be so back in terms of saving. Some of us have only been able to save because the employer forces us to do so. Without our own volition, we could never have saved any amount, especially so those who save under retirement benefit schemes. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce our company. And we are talking about, this is where we have started in the year 2007 through our founding director called Fred Waswa. In 2009, we registered a savings pension scheme. 2010, we started insurance brokerage. 2013, 2017, all the way to 2022. And the latest achievement we have done is having this discussion on savings and taking the discussion further to go to talk to our children who are in school, who are in high school, junior, secondary, and even university students and their college counterparts, and telling them that, look here, ladies and gentlemen, we have to sit down and make deliberate discussion. And this deliberate discussion cannot start when somebody is 30, 40 years. It will start as early as possible. So we are even advancing this discussion so that it can involve our children. These are some of our achievements over the years. We have a whole team in the office that is able to help us run with the business, beginning with our board of directors and going to the management team. Allow me to not focus on that, but I'll go straight to today's meet. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a more interactive session. At some point, Elizabeth will be popping in and see which pressing issue that needs to be addressed. But at the end of the day, we'll have a Q&A. and also for clarification. So in case you have any question or any comment, please feel free to type in your questions. Feel free to type in your comment so that then we are able to have that type of discussion. We have the biggest problem that anyone can face is realizing that they are almost getting to 55 years and you have nothing to show about it. And this will find most of us by a shock, because I strongly believe that retirement is a holistic issue that should be handled not only as a financial issue, but as a risk issue, as a family planning issue, as a religious issue, as a social issue. Everything around retirement does not only involve money, but money is the most important aspect, because you realize sometimes when you have money, almost all your problems again can be squared out in one way or the other. So we look at a few things. How do we move from one career? How do we grow through the career path? How do we move from one step to another? And then talk about budgeting. How do we do budgeting and still be able to balance with family financial obligations? Most of us are paying the black tax. You know, probably you are a firstborn, you are paying school fees for your siblings, you are probably building, you are probably doing this and that to uplift your family from financial difficulties. You want to make sure that their lives are improved. So all that we need to look at it. At the same time as you save, there is also an element of investment. Are you only saving, or at the same time you are investing? Then of course, all of us are doing a cat mouse game with debt. Most of us are into Fuliza. Most of us have gotten into Mshwari. We are borrowing. We are no Shylocks are knocking the doors every single day. How do we balance? Is it that we are not earning a lot of money, or is it that do we have an earning problem, or do we have a saving problem, or do we have a discipline problem with money? What happens with money? Is it that when money sees us, it runs away? We need to figure out tonight, or to see how do we deal with all that in one way or the other. So we look at it this way, that we start it in one day that you are a child, you are a toddler, you are for a 3-year-old, you are 4-year-old, you started crawling, you started going to school, you went to primary, you went to junior. Now there is junior with the CBC, there's junior secondary, you go to secondary, you go to college, you finish, you graduate, very excited, you look for a job, you get a job, and as soon as you get a job, your parents will come to realize you are almost getting to retirement again. So you are at 50, 45, 50, 55, 60 is here knocking. And then you, because you have not been able to have enough wealth, or you have the places that you have been investing money, you have been making mistakes in that area. Now it becomes time for reckoning. That is how we want to look at it. How do we deal with this problem? So life for an SME, just like a company, just like an individual, life is just a series of steps and experience. Each step introduces a whole new experience. A coping mechanism is essential, as we normally say. You have to always, you will always find yourself in difficult situations in one way or the other. Things will come up. Sometimes you are so disciplined, but things come up. Sometimes those who bought Safaricom shares when the IPO was when the initial public offer was launched, it retailed at 5 shillings. It shoot up to 45 shillings in terms of value. People made a lot of profit from that, man. At the same time, the Safaricom shares, as late as last week, went very down all the way to 20 shillings. You have kind of what you call a book loss in terms of you almost have a book loss in terms of your asset portfolio. But that requires that every other day, as things change, there is the political environment, there is the economic environment, there is global economics and politics that come to play. We have been experiencing the Russia-Ukraine war. How does it affect you as an individual? You might say, oh, as we are in Kenya, you are in Nairobi, somewhere in a corner. But if whether you like it or not, in one way or the other, it affects you. So 1 to 7 years, you start school. 8 to 14, you start, that is, you even do your rites of passage. And then secondary, the stroke university, get employed. 29 to that 5 years, children growing up, investments, This presentation is also kind of customized. At stage 5, we are talking about children. As we learn, we'll also come to understand, is it important also to match up? I know it is God's plan. Children, you can't plan when they'll come back and forth, but also you can kind of have a say on what happens. How do children affect your retirement planning? How do your parenting affect your retirement planning? Something that I hope at the end of the day we'll have a response on the same. At 36 to 42 years, most of us are trying to explore, trying to grow. At the same time, this is the time that most of us have made mistakes, or we are bearing the blunt side of the hammer because of the mistakes that we made at stage 5. At stage 7, now children are graduating. Maybe you've joined a golf club, you have preparing, it's now dawning to you that you are preparing for retirement. You quit your job at 60, where are you headed to? I'll tell you that when you are quitting your job, if you are not prepared, it's difficult to live for 5 years, for more than 5 years. Somebody said that you can be young without money, but you'll never grow old without money. When you walk around out there, you will realize, even in the village, you figure out in the village, if you long time ago, when people used to be given a wheelbarrow as a handshake when you retire, you will imagine how long those wazes used to take before they die, because you cannot use a wheelbarrow to pay for your medical bills. You cannot use a wheelbarrow to feed yourself. Maybe you can. Maybe you can move around with the sugar cane and sell in the village. But there is only much that a wheelbarrow can do. You need a stable income per month. It's not even a one-off that you are being paid a lump sum by a provident fund, that you are given 10 million to 10 million to be able to take care of your retirement needs. That money will be squandered in 1 month. We look and learn how that happens. What options do you have in retirement? And how do you ensure that you have a stable monthly income for life? You are able to live longer if you ensure your finances are in order. Those are career stages. Maybe I'll skip that and talk about something that we normally every day try to talk about. There's something called budgeting. Most of us here I think this is a cliche. We are, as I introduced the topic, I was saying that most of us are doing a rat race. It is Fuliza, it is Hustler Fund that is writing you SMSs every day, reminding you to meet your end of the bargain. You have a bank loan that you have not repaid. You have a SACCO loan that you have not repaid. You are owing your family relatives KRAs on your neck. You have not been filing taxes, or you receive some consultancy money and you never declare or never give returns. And then it happens that one day they come and knock at your bank account. And then when they fix your bank account, you cannot be able to transact any money that comes in or comes away from that. So how do you manage to live within your means, yet even what you are earning, quote unquote, is too little? You know, you are advised to make a list of all your income streams and do daily expenses. Most of us want to live a day at a day. Some of us claim that, you know, just like the Bible says, if God is taking care of the birds, he can also be able to take care of you. I think, whereas that is spiritually correct, the element of practicability also comes in. How do you balance between your spiritual dependence on God and you actually going out to work extra hard to ensure that you don't become a burden to yourself? Expenses, you need to group them. Find which one is discretionary. Is it buying ice cream every day for your children more important? Or do you need to do more savings? Maybe do an education policy, or join a personal pension scheme for you to start saving. What are you doing? So that then can you realize these expenses, there are those that I can be able to avoid. There are those that I can be able not to avoid. In terms of priority, which expense is number 1, which expense is number 2. So when you do that, you are able to have your finances properly organized, so that then you don't spend money on a discretionary expense, yet there is a necessary expense that needed to be addressed in the first case. Find ways to cut down your discretionary expenses. I've said that. You need to have a monthly budget. You can even come up with an Excel template. You know, this is your income streams. Maybe you have also your spouse who earns some money. You need to come to the table and say, look here, my dear wife or my dear husband, How do we sit down and deal with problems in this house that are called costs? Bring your income. Let me bring my income. Let's put that on the table. How much do we spend? This month we are going to the salon, and you are going to buy new shoes, you are going to buy a new dress. How much do you think that will cost? Then when we have that type of deliberate discussion, it doesn't pop up just mid-month. Somebody is going to buy shoes, buying clothes that were never planned for, and then make issues to go worse by having to borrow so that to deal with the expenses that really can be able to be avoided. Please, and please, it is really encouraged when you sit down to come up with a budget, involve your spouse. I think most of us, especially men, don't want to be open about how much we earn. So that then you talk to your wife and tell your wife, yes, this is the amount of money I earn, this is the amount of the net salary that gets to my account. Can we work with this type of budget? In case there are deficits, how do we deal with that? Do we need a side hustle? What do we do? Bring those type of discussions. You'll come to realize finances, especially this last point on discussions on finances, has become a big issue for families. Families are even breaking up because the other people are not opening up as much, so that then they can be able, the family can be able to be aligned in terms of expectations in finances, who brings what, who does this, who pays the school fees, and all that. Also, arm yourself with a planner, maybe an Excel sheet, or do a Google form, or a book. Those old wazes who never used to have laptops, they used to keep a book. Keep updating that every month. Prices of commodities are changing very quickly, so you need also to prepare yourself for that. You cannot be able to run an SME. You cannot be able to have employees who you just pay salaries and they cannot be able to save for themselves. We need to have this discussion. How do we also help our employees, or how do we even help ourselves, so that we do not eventually become a burden to society? Life, especially for the last 2 years, has taught us that another COVID can come and people will lose jobs. So if they lose jobs, how do you send them home? You send them, oh, you know, we now are going to have a salary cut and all that. Is there a way you can tell them that, yes, you are losing your job, but as you try to stabilize, you can go and get the savings that you have been using for you have been taking to your pension scheme, so that then you can be able to use that as you sustain yourself as you look for another job. How are you managing that? Do you have dependents? Get life insurance. Most of us just insurance people from our offices. We don't want to see them. When they come to our businesses, we don't want to see them. But you'll come to realize those insurance people are not thieves. Those are angels who've been sent to God to come and rescue you from your financial problems by forcing yourself to be able to save. But because we have an opinion, we have created an opinion and conveniently agreed to criminalize insurance, we do not want to save, so that then we use that as a comfortable excuse that, oh, insurance people are the thieves, they don't keep a word. But if you actually saved, insurance has helped so many people, especially also if you die, your family or your children can get something that can be able to sustain them as they are able to grow and have their own income. By the way, you need to go and ask your employer, have they covered you on general personal accident, GPA? If you die out of an accident today, who is going to take care of your family? Or if you cut your leg and that leg is what you use to drive every single day, who is going to compensate you for that? You cannot be compensated 100,000 or 200,000. That's a lifetime disability that needs to be dealt with. Every employer must have what we call a general personal accident for their employees. Number two, you must have a work injury benefits act benefit, that is WIBA, and also as much as possible have group life for your employees. There are three main products, actually four. Have WIBA, have GPA, have group life, and have a pension savings plan for your employees. Those four things are extremely important. The fifth one is the medical cover. You'll come to realize, I saw a photo today trending in social media of a former MP who was still lining up at KNH waiting to be treated, and people are making fun out of him. But you'll come to realize that sickness really takes a lot of money. You save money in the bank, and then sickness comes in and wipes out. Even for your parents, you need a medical cover for them. For your father and mother, you need to get a medical cover for them. But also ask yourself a question: in case they die, in case a close relative dies today, God forbid, How do you deal with that sudden death, especially where you've treated and they have exhausted all the money that you had? How do you deal with that sudden loss? It becomes extremely difficult to deal with. So we need to ask ourselves, how do we come out of this rat race? There is a last expense cover. If you come here, I wish Abraham was here, Masibo, he will tell you that there is a last expense cover that covers you, your spouse, your parents-in-law, your children, and the premium is as low as 2,000 shillings if you come in as a group. And in case you lose a loved one, you get a 50,000 benefit. In case, and if you want, you can even go up to 500,000 depending on the limit and option that you choose for yourself. So in case you die, the insurance company comes and gives you, within 48 hours of you providing the required documents, you are paid that money. Let me tell you, my brothers and sisters, if you are grieving and you are given some 200,000 or 300,000, you'll wipe your tears and smile, and then of course get life going. Write a will. Most of us have avoided, especially our people from Western Kenya. They don't want, where I am one of them, they don't want to write a will. You tell them, oh, you need to sit down and write a will. What if you die? How will your property be distributed? So many families are in problems because the father or the mother refused to write a will. So when they die, children are running up and down. They are fighting with each other because they cannot be able to agree on a simple issue like dividing property amongst themselves. Something that the parent could have easily done and documented and kept that document with the lawyer so that when they die, that document is able to be presented to the children, and then the children can be able to agree on what to do. Periodically assess your portfolio, adjust for changes in income. There are so many things you can invest your money in. We'll be able to see where you can be able to do investment in a few minutes. Have financial knowledge. Come for this type of webinars. Come as soon as possible. Sometimes invite your friends, invite your spouse, invite people around you. Let's talk about this. Can we even have a financial club? Can we meet? Why are people investing in property getting losses? Yet people say property will never get it wrong when you purchase a property. Why is it that for the last 3 years, for those who have invested in property, especially for commercial houses and even houses to sell, it's difficult to get buyers? How do you deal with a house that does not have a tenant for 3 years? Or for 2 years, or for 2-3 months? So we should be able to have that type of discussion. In the budget, you must say, what are your income sources? As I said, there is something from business, there's something from your spouse. If they are lucky enough to have an employment, savings for investment, and include expenses. That will always tell you what is your net worth if you want to calculate. Ladies and gentlemen, when you look at my screen, I have 2 types of people. And me and you know this type of people. You are either the person number 1 or you are either person number 2. Person number 1 earns a total salary, earns a total income of 840,000 annually, which is I think around 70,000 per month. But the expenses for person number 1 is 470,400. He has a surplus of 369,600. This type of people, we have them. But when you do a graph, you'll come to realize that these are the fewest number people we have. Most of us lie in number 2 here, where you'll come to realize that your expenses are always over the roof. Your expenses are over the roof. In fact, this person scenario number 2, they have a deficit of 400,000 shillings. This person on deficit of 400,000 shillings, how are they managing their lives? What do they do to ensure that they meet their expenses? I think it's something that it's worthy to think about. So there are very many reasons why you must plan your finances. Number 1 is to ensure you have a nest egg when you are out of a job or in case of an emergency. You need to ensure you maintain your standards of living. You don't want to drop your children from a private good school and immediately take them to a public primary school, which gives them a culture shock. They are not able to cope up. Some of them end up dropping out of school and become chokoras and all that. Life becomes difficult. But you need peace of mind. I think all of us need peace of mind, honestly. Most of us even complain when I'm in the house, I don't have peace of mind. You guys are making a lot of noise for me. My wife is doing that. My husband is doing that. We need peace of mind, whether it's financial or not financial related. We need that peace of mind. Get out of that rat race where you are running every evening. Today you are borrowing to pay Paul. Tomorrow you are borrowing Paul to pay Peter. The following day you are borrowing Catherine for you to pay Mary, then to pay Jen and all that, and then pay back to the Shylock. And the Shylock every month when you just earn your salary, the Shylock is knocking your door. Hey, you have not paid my money. You have not. So that we have even ended up auctioned. I know most of us, or at some point, we know people that have been auctioned. Let's just do a simple exercise. Are your finances in order? You can take your age, assuming it is 40 or 55, and divide that by 10. If you divide by 10 and multiply by your annual salary, look at the result. Maybe that is 4 million. Just for illustration purposes, if you have a greater in terms of wealth accumulation, then you are probably doing very well. If lower, you are an under accumulator of wealth. So the aim is to have a positive net worth and keep it growing. Your net worth is part of what you will draw on to fulfill your financial objectives and help you through a financial crisis. Review your net worth annually. And personal financial planning involves what we spoke about: budgeting, savings, insurance. Insurance, by the way, sorry, I might be biased on this, but there is something that you will never run away from this life. It's called risk. Most of us buy very good vehicles. You buy a V8, and that V8 that you have bought insurance third party. So in case you lose, you get an accident and there is total loss, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that problem of how do you repair your car? That means you go have to sell another asset to repair your car. While you could have actually, when you buy your car, a beautiful car, you don't go for third-party insurance, you go for comprehensive insurance, so that in case you have a loss, which will always happen, you will get an accident, God forbid, the insurance company takes responsibility and repairs your car. You can talk about medical cover. We must have a minimum as NHIF for all of us, including for our own parents. Then, of course, we look at retirement planning. So a good career planning will more often than not lead to financial wellness. Learn from the services you offer your clients. You help them do so many things, but most of the time you'll come to realize that we provide solutions to people, solutions that we don't ourselves consume. I don't know whether you have ever realized a marketer who is selling something good, but they don't wear the same thing. While you supervise financial behavior of your client, remember also to take care of yourself. Find out how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. Identify the leaks and plug them. We know, Robert Kiyosaki said, assets is what brings money to your pocket. Liabilities takes money out of your pocket. How does a poor person's cash flow look like? They do not have any assets. They do not have no liabilities. Their source of income is employment alone, where most of us are. Then expenses are just the common problems that we have under the Maslow hierarchy of needs, which is the base of the pyramid, which is food, rent, transport, etc. And then middle class is cash flow problems. They don't have assets, plenty of liabilities, mortgage, car loan, credit cards, things that you really don't actually need. Sources of income is employment alone. Other expenses remain almost the same. A rich person's cash flow will look like something like this. They have assets they have invested in stocks. In Kenya, we have Nairobi Stock Exchange where you can go and buy shares, you can buy equity and become a shareholder in some of these companies. And when they improve in their company, that becomes a plus for you, because then there is capital appreciation, then there is dividends also. Bonds, you can purchase bonds. The bonds, you can either purchase a fixed, there are different types of bonds that you can be able to buy, including an infrastructure bond that is tax-free. We saw the last year the government borrowing money at almost even 13-14%, which is tax-free. Your work is to give the government, let's say 1 million Kenyan shillings, and sit pretty in the bank. If you give them a fixed deposit or a bond that is for, let's say, 10-15 years, their work is to pay you to pay you your interest every 6 months. So if it is 13%, you are getting 50% of that. After 6 months, another 50% of that. Your money is safe. Government will never default in terms of payment. Liabilities, the rich people do not have liabilities because they do not buy what they don't need or they can't afford at any particular time. Most of us, the problem we have is that we want to purchase everything that we see and we can't afford. Sources of income is dividend, interest income, rental income, royalties. They have written books. You can even open a YouTube channel and be a content creator and all that. There are quick wins as we wrap up the presentation. Start your pass, 7 cures for a lean pass. Number 1, for every 10 coins you place within your pass, take out for only use 9. So we are saying just every time you earn, make sure at least 10% of your earnings go into saving. Just look at how much are you earning. 250,000. How much gets to your account? Let's say, assuming it's 100,000. Immediately you earn the 100,000, the 10,000 must always go for saving. Spend less than you earn, need. And now at the last point on that category is you must separate something called needs, wants, desires. Needs, wants, and desires. Needs, find out, is this a need? Is it a want? Is it a desire? Desires you can do away with because they are not immediate things that you must need. But basic needs like food, like shelter, like clothing, those are things that you need, but you must be able to balance them as well. You can't be buying clothes every single day. Wants, is it something that can be done away with in the short run as you work out on your finances? Control your expenditures, and that can also be a good a culture that you can introduce in your family, including teaching children that it is important to save. It's not every day is not about spending from morning to evening. Let it do not confuse between necessary expenses with your desires. No matter how much you have, you will always need more. Then something else is about investment. So make sure that the money you earn is earning some income also on top of it. That is by ensuring that you invest. Somebody said a man's wealth is not in the coins he carries in his purse, it is the income he builds. Then let time and the power of compounding take over. Something to note, like when you save for a pension in a pension scheme, the money that your employer contributes and you contribute into that pension scheme, it earns an investment income. When it earns an investment income, that is compounded every single year. When you get to retirement, you look at how much do you have. Then you decide whether, if your fund is a provident fund, you can take home the lump sum, or if it's a pension scheme, you can be able to take home a third as lump sum, 2/3 you must purchase a monthly pension for life. I normally encourage people to take a monthly pension for life because 3 million Kenyan shillings cash is not as the same as 30,000 Kenyan shillings per month for life. The two are different. The 3 million, you will get bad advisors, you'll spend that money badly and be able to make financial mistakes, especially at retirement. You do not have an opportunity to make a financial mistake. It is the wrong time to make financial mistakes. You need to consult with wise men experienced in the profitable handling of gold. Let their wisdom protect your treasure from unsafe investments.
Davis, are you there?
Okay, you can hear me now?
Yes, we lost you for a minute.
Okay, I'm back. If you can be able to build a house, please build. If you can be able to go for a cheaper house, always go for that. When you are purchasing a house, please look at the many options. Most of us run for mortgage, but mortgage sometimes is very expensive. Is it possible to purchase a piece of land, later purchase materials, pole, and then as you grow, so that to avoid also using too much expenses in the name of building a house, so it ends up not making some financial sense. Ensure your future income. No matter what, you must retire comfortably. By the way, children are not a retirement plan. I think it's very important. I know most of us, our employers contribute for NSSF, 200 shillings per month. This 200 shillings per month, which becomes 400,000 shillings, 400 shillings per month, becomes 4,800 shillings at the end of the month, cannot be able to help you. 4,800, even if you save for 10 years, that is only 48,000. If you add compounded interest, that money will not get to more than 70,000. Whichever the miracles you want to pull through. So, or whichever the compounding interest that you want to do. So, and 70,000 right now, ladies and gentlemen, you know 70,000 is the school fees for 1 year for only your child. You have not catered or food, you are not taken care of their clothing or anything else. And start saving as soon as you can. Treat your saving as a necessary expense. Save as much as we are saying as much as possible into your pension scheme and life insurance. The reason why we are doing that is because you have a tax relief. When your employees save, or your employees or you as an employee save through a pension scheme, you get a tax relief. Something that you don't find in any other type of investment in this country. Building an emergency fund, always please pay your major periodic expenses on a monthly basis, e.g. school fees. We know that school fees, for example, what is paid at the end of the term is, let's say, 60,000. Instead of waiting for 60,000 at the end of the quarter, why don't you start paying 20,000 Kenyan shillings per month? Have a good medical cover. I have asked you, and I'll say this again, please ensure that you sign up for medical insurance. Elizabeth will type an email here in case you need for us to get you a quote for medical insurance, whether it is for yourself, whether it's for your children, whether it is for your mother, your father, or your father-in-law or your mother-in-law. We have a medical cover even for retirees, something that you can't find elsewhere that can be able to help you to save on too many costs when they come up that are related to diseases. Wealth is a function of savings, not earnings. I think it's important to be very clear on that. Look at this. If you want to have 5 million at age 50 or at age 60, which is at retirement, and you only have 10 years to retirement, you need to save 24,000 shillings per month, assuming a rate of return of 10% per annum on average. If you have 20 years to retirement, then it is easier for you because you only need to save 6,000 per month. If you are 30 years to retirement, it's even easier for you. You only need to save 2,000 shillings per month. So the younger you are, the better for yourself. The trick is always to start early. I don't know whether you can be able to hear this. Elizabeth, you can confirm to me that the clip I'm playing can be heard.
I can't hear it, Davis.
Okay, do you mean it's playing but you can't hear, is it?
Yes.
Okay, you can play that from your side.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to listen to a certain clip here shortly, and then we resume as we wrap it up to look at what is the way forward. What do we do so that we do not become or we don't find ourselves in this problem of finances every single day. So I'll give my colleague Elizabeth a minute to be able to bring that up. Elizabeth, you can proceed. I don't think I can hear that. Is it?
Can you hear it? You can't hear it?
No, I don't think the link has sound.
Okay. What about now? Let me try again.
Okay. Not a problem. I think we can share the clip on a separate email in case we have email addresses for any of the people that are here. By the way, if you want more of this, we can be able to share some of the notes. So please, if you are interested, you can also remember to type your email address so that Elizabeth can be able to arrange and share these clips for you. So what the lady on the screen is saying is that when she retired and went for NSSF money, she only had 150,000 as savings, and it was a real headache. when you have 150,000 after a savings for the rest of your life, it's a big problem that you need to grapple with. And if it's the only savings, you can't be begging your children to send you money every month. Oh, please send me money. The children also have their own problems. You can't. You are not the only problem that they have in their lives. So do not become too much of a burden to your children. Instead, you should even be the one to facilitate them and help them. How do you do that? You must have worked on your finances properly before you are able to work on the finances of your children. So the game is always to start early, and starting early is it depends on your age. Elizabeth, please mute. The 4 ages of pension, this is something that we look at. Those who are 25 years, they think they're too young. Those that are at 5 years, they think they will start that at 45. Then they forget at 55. They think they wish they started 20 years ago. Then there is an old muse who after working a very good career, they end up taking manual jobs for them to be able to put food on the table. It's a very sad affair, ladies and gentlemen. Maintain your standard of living. That is one reason why people save specifically for retirement. Let's not save for the short term. Let our aim be how to live comfortably in retirement. Living comfortably in retirement does not need you to get to 50 to start thinking. You need to start it now. The younger you are, the better. RBA, the Retirement Benefits Authority, did a research a few years ago together with other partners and said for you to live comfortably in retirement, you need at least 75% of your last salary as your monthly pension for life. So if you're earning 100,000 as the last pay during your working days, you need at least 75,000 per month for you to live comfortably. How you're able to do that, then that becomes a question to be answered. How do you invest? There are many ways you can be able to invest through your staff retirement benefit scheme. If you don't have, please reach out to us. We can give you a proposal, or we can give a proposal to your employer and then come and do a presentation and give the advantages and the disadvantages and give the options that are available. If your employer is not willing, we can sign up for you a personal pension plan. Then you can do unit trust, you can invest in a SACCO. The only problem with the unit SACCO is that you only put money there to borrow. You don't put money there to actually invest. Some informal ways are investment clubs, social networks, merry-go-rounds, personal investment, business. Investing in stocks so that you get dividends and capital appreciation. As I gave an example of the Safaricom shares that have now started appreciating again after going to a low of 20 shillings. Now I think they might be 23, 24 shillings as of today. I don't have today's figures as the close of market are true. The only problem is that the risks involved, which is volatility, unpredictable cash flows, politics, industry, and all that. But generally, it is high risk, high return. You can get very good return, but at the same time, you can make a serious loss on stock markets. Invest in fixed income instruments. That we can always give. We'll share this in the notes. If you share your email address, you can be able to share this. Do an own business. You can do consultancy. Some of you have learned a lot of experience throughout your working life. Please don't go home and let that experience rot. You can use it as consultancy and be able to make money out of it. Debt management, when we go into debt, we spend more than we earn. We want to have what the neighbor has. You see a neighbor has a Mercedes-Benz, you also want to earn a Mercedes-Benz. You don't even know where the neighbor got the money for the Mercedes-Benz, but you want to be excited to have to compare yourself with the neighbor. That puts you into problems. A good debt is where you put money for investment or mortgage, but you always aim to pay quicker so that you don't pay too much in terms of interest or levies. Bad debt is where you are borrowing to eat. Get out of a bad debt, or to stop borrowing money to drink or eat or to buy dresses, and that plan before you borrow. Maximum method of net pay in loan repayments. I think that is it. And then the good book says, thou shalt never covet. Don't borrow for things you desire but don't need. Avoid borrowing on consumption that I've said. Avoid a savior mentality. You can't save everyone. Your work, oh, my neighbor has asked for money. My aunt is in trouble. My brother is having financial problems. You even go ahead and borrow on their behalf. You can't save everyone. First, start by saving yourself. And I think I want to stop it there, Elizabeth, and write a list of all your debts and prioritize payments. Start with the one that you pay a lot of interest. Pay your loan as fast as possible. Avoid credit card. Family and friends are the cheapest and most understanding of creditors, but do not exploit them. The problem with most of us is that we borrow money from relatives and we don't return, so it becomes a problem. So when we get to retirement, we can talk about a lot, but allow me to skip that and have this screen here. Life begins at 60. It's like a honeymoon. That is the time. If you look at the gentleman on the screen, he looks very young. And the lady looks extremely beautiful, but she looks like she's 60, but she looks very young. And the reason all this can happen is because they have some type of saving that can be able to help them manage their lives in one way or the other. We have to make very deliberate moves as people who are in the SME sector to save. If your employer is not willing to do that, you have to make a deliberate decision. If you are already saving, then you need even to increase more. How do you do that? You come to us and ask ourselves, Davis, if I am age 35, I only have 1 million Kenyan shillings. How do I have 20 million at retirement? How much do I need to start saving now? Please calculate for me an income replacement ratio through the actual factors that you might have, so that then I plan myself for retirement. Then Davis will go sit down and do some computations for you, and then you can check whether what you are currently doing, whether it is right or wrong, or if there is something you need to improve on, so that you improve on. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to stop there and give room for questions and answers and then clarifications. Elizabeth, if you don't mind, please take it over. Over
Thank
to you.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Davis, for that wonderful presentation. You've surely given us a lot to think about. I see Walter Nyongesa already has his hand up. Walter, I will unmute you so that we can be able to hear you. Any other person with their question can be able to raise their hands or type them down in the chat section. Don't worry, we have a few more minutes for this meeting. As Davis has said, we want this to be as engaging as possible, so feel free to let us hear you out. Walter, I have unmuted you. You can air your question. Walter, click the unmute button on your end.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And Davis, thank you for that good presentation. Now, I have a few questions and concerns from my end. You've talked about a lot of stuffs that we can learn and use in life, especially for the young generals like me. But only a few things to point out. Like you talked about how to plan to retire. But I was just asking about how can you plan to retire without talking about a healthy lifestyle? As in, can you kindly elaborate about having a healthy lifestyle before you have a healthy retirement plan? Another thing is there was that investment journey that you are talking about between the one age to another. And there was that childhood between the age of 22 to 28 years, where they talked about employment, visionary, and married, and you have children. I was just thinking, a normal Kenyan citizen at the age of 28, who is trying to have something in life, who is planning to save something in life, and who is trying to plan how to retire at that particular time. Don't you think that at this particular age, it's a bit early to talk about marriage and stuff? That kind of, I feel like that age bracket is quite so much hard for someone who's trying to find a direction. And then the last thing is there was that graph that you presented about the graph about life, where the retirement plan was down, there the savings were up. Don't you think that the graph should be reversed on the other ways around, because so that they can begin the savings and they go big up on the other side round? And then this idea of life begins at 60. Personally think that this stuff is a lie, because I don't know, but at 60, if at 30 everything was wrong, I don't think it really begins at 60, because If, for example, if the retirement plan was not good and the health plan was not good, then at 60 nothing will be good. So I feel like life starts at a place where everything is good. So my question is, where do you think is that exact place? Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Walter. Davis, was everything clear?
I can start with the last question. I think what you are giving, Walter, is actually not a question per se. It's actually a very good suggestion that if you didn't do proper, you didn't do proper planning for your life, life beginning at 60 becomes very difficult. So we have to make very deliberate moves, and that is why I think I spoke about us planning everything else early enough, so that when you get to 60, ideally is not the time to be able to be paying school fees for someone who is age 5 years or going to grade 1. You need to have figured out early enough, if possible, give birth early enough, so that then you do not have school fee problems when you get to retirement. Let it be more in retirement is you eating your money, eating your sweat that you have been working around with. But you will agree with me that in Africa, we still have a problem. Some of us who are not lucky enough to have our children early enough in life, that is not a mistake. So, but where possible that you are able to plan some of those things and fix them early enough, where it is possible, then it is a good idea that you start planning early, so that when you get to 60, you do not become a burden to society. Going to the first question, answering it almost the same way is, I think I mentioned about us having as having some factors that contribute to planning well for retirement. One of them that I spoke about was medical cover. Much as I didn't expound a lot on it, is that living a healthy life is part of the process of preparing for retirement. What do you eat? What do you drink? Which environment do you keep yourself with? So that then you are able to avoid things like lifestyle diseases, doing a bit of exercise, eating healthy, making sure that your diet that is on the table is something that is not something that can kill you sooner. A bit of moderation here and there, something that can be good to apply. But as I've said, those are so many things that contribute to a healthy lifestyle at retirement. One of them is, of course, the major number one is ensuring your finances are proper. Number two, how is your health looking like? Because eventually you will have, whether you like it or not, you will become like an old car at retirement, where you pass through the garage in the morning, in the afternoon you are in the garage, in the evening you are in the garage, the following day you are in the garage, because now your body behaves like spare parts. They'll start wearing out. So when they start wearing out, who will take care of that problem? Yeah, I think I've tried to summarize the responses. Elizabeth, if there is any other?
Feel free to talk to us on the chat section. Feel free to raise your hands. We are here from you and we would love to hear you out. Don't go back to the house with unanswered questions. Kindly raise your hand. I'll be able to unmute you. Do we have any other question?
I think on the chat we have somebody from Most. They are saying, please need guidance. What is the benefit when you decide to resign at age 48? It's basically, I don't know whether there is an advantage of retiring at age 48, as in terms of direct benefit, but what is normally said is that if you are able to organize all your finances in order early enough, and so that you retire early enough, the better for you. But if you are not, then you need to work up to maybe the age where you could have been able to save enough so that when you go home, you are able to rest. We have seen, especially universities and judiciary and research institutions, where somebody retires at age 75. So age 75, you only live for 2-3 years and you die. That means you don't even have enough time for you to enjoy even the sweat that you toiled all along for your life. So you need to balance here, there, not too much of work, not too much of play also, and balance, so that also you don't retire a frustrated man. When you are retiring is the time when you can't even walk or you can't even go out. So it's important that we look at that. And then the other question that we are I've seen, I have been calling Octagon. I think Esther, Elizabeth will pick this up with you. Please share a phone number that can be reached out. Maybe it's a phone number issue or something. If Esther, you can be able to send your phone number or your email address, Elizabeth can organize for a response for you tomorrow. Nicholas is sharing the email address. Feel free to also type in your, okay. Share the proceedings on email, and yeah. I think that forms part of the question, and we will. I think that the element ideally is to give us more forums to be able to speak about this. We do not have monopoly of knowledge. When we come, we exchange here and there. There are so many investment opportunities that we can gather here. I think in the next webinar, we'll even come and talk, get somebody to talk to us about saving in a stock, investing in stock, in bonds and all that. How do you save? How do you make a kill out of it? We are going to organize a great speaker also in the next session of our webinar to have somebody talk greatly about investments, greatly about